What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coffeez for Closers. Today I'm sitting with the president and CEO of C2 Financial, a legendary mortgage broker founded here in the state of California. This company has been around for decades and has reigned as the #1 mortgage company for years and years. David Temko is heir to the throne of C2, taking over his father's legacy, and he continues to grow in every state, has a national presence, continues to dominate despite market adversity. Please welcome Mr. David Temko.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So a lot of people are always like, Joe, why are you always interviewing your competitors? And like, dude, we're so beyond that. We're bros, you know. Like,
absolutely. I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I'm sure the Bloods and the Crips have rapped on the same album before, you know?
They sure have. No, but it's cool, man. It's like there's only what 7, 8 of us at our level, and it's always an honor. And every one of them has been in that seat, sat there, right, you know, with me, and it's kind of like, you know, we talk about bigger things, you know, like. We're like a fluid relationship, and we grow together. We get better together, and it's an honor to always have, you know, you guys are friends, not competitors to me. So, you know, I love working with you. I love what C2 has done and continues to do in the mortgage community, empowering mortgage brokers just to get better, to grow, and you know, help them thrive in a down market. And you're always pushing these guys. So thank you, and kudos to you for everything that you do for brokers. And you know. We lost Ron last year, and it hurt all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It hurt all of us. And I know, you know, you gave an awesome goodbye speech after his departure when you had your, and I came out to that event, and that was a great event. And God bless you for carrying his legacy, his torch.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I like to
big shoes to fill, for sure.
I know it is big shoes to fill, especially because he was just kind of like the godfather of the space, right? It's you know, he was the first mega broker, and you know, and he reigned as #1 for so long. So
yeah, they were. I mean, back then it was the only game in town. You worked at a bank or you worked at their company, and then a lot of the companies that have the brokerages that are successful today, you know, have stemmed from working there and starting their own deal. You mentioned you worked for Windsor back in the day, and that was him and Fred's shop, and we took it from there. So pioneered the industry. Yeah,
Windsor Capital was. The first, this was pre-crash.
Yep.
2000,
all the way up to 2007, 2008.
Yeah, so one of the first branches I ran was, you know, Windsor. So that's cool. So thanks for, you know, keeping me afloat. I actually made a lot of money.
Good. Good.
So I like to start every podcast with the same question I ask everybody, and that's your morning routine. What is your morning routine, Dave?
I wake up around 5:30 in the morning. And I generally have my bag packed the night before. So I put on my gym clothes and jam out. I work out at 6 a.m. from 6 to 7. Then I'll jump in the surf if there's waves. I live right by the beach. But generally I'm at the gym, or I'm doing something active around 6 a.m. And then I head into the office. I'm in the office around between 8 and 9 and take on the day.
Love it, love it. So same morning routine, workout. I have a similar morning routine at the gym super early as well. Yeah, how the waves been?
A little small, but I'm sure, you know, pray for surf. So we'll get some swell, I'm sure, sooner than later, and I'll be ready for it.
When was the last time there was some swell in the
probably a couple of weeks ago. I got out, even though it wasn't very good, I got out Saturday and Sunday. You know, got a little surfing before Mother's Day before I spent some time with the fam, so that was good. But yeah, usually we're getting into some south swells because it's going into summertime. So there's some south-facing beaches in Southern California.
Nice,
so we should be all right.
So what year did you start in the mortgage industry?
I grew up in the business, you know, being the fact that my pops got in the business around in the early 90s. So it's kind of always around the dinner table. And then I, you know, started cleaning his office with my girlfriend in high school at the time, and then kind of learning the language. And then I came home from college and I worked under top originators that we had at our company, just learning kind of how they went through their day, how they ran their business, and just kind of got a lay of the land. But I remember after the crash, I was with my pops and all his best buddies that were kind of my board of directors. I considered them, and I remember my pops was kind of like pulling his hair out like with a market cycle, and I remember his close friend that owned a ton of commercial real estate was kind of steady Eddie, and I was like, I want to get into that line of business. And so I took off and did my own thing in commercial real estate, sales and commercial banking, commercial brokerage for about 10 years or so. And then I came back to the company and started our commercial division.
What year did you start the commercial division?
That's been going for about 6 years now.
How's the C2 commercial side
Great.
going?
We had our biggest month since its inception last month. So a lot of commercial loans happening regardless of market conditions.
Yeah, and you're not doing like office buildings mostly, all multifamily?
No, all of it. So office, industrial, mixed use, retail, mobile home parks, all that kind of different, all those different product types for investors, as well as a lot of owner user stuff.
So you're not focusing on the commercial side anymore. You got someone to kind of fill those shoes for you?
Yeah, I mentored a gentleman, Brandon Landau, awesome person, extremely resourceful, and just, I figured if there's one way to teach someone or mentor someone, it's just through osmosis. So I actually came back from LA to San Diego and was like, if you're going to learn from me, you're just going to hear what I'm doing and what I'm up to every day and the ins and outs of every deal. And that's kind of how he learned from me over the course of 2 years. And then when my pops passed, it was, perfect timing for him to take over that division and for me to lead the company.
That's awesome. So how many commercial loan officers you guys got now?
It's a pretty niche, specialized, understanding or kind of product market knowledge. So there's about 5 loan officers in that space, but it's mainly Brandon kind of running the show, and we're trying to figure out how to scale that. It's a little bit different than the forward side, but we did it on the reverse side, so it's kind of following suit. Those divisions have a tendency to be seeds that we water, and then they grow, and it just takes time for it to be,
I heard
tree.
you guys are growing significantly in the reverse space. I think you guys are like the #1 broker in reverse right now.
We are the #1 mortgage broker in the reverse space across the nation. We have more certified reverse mortgage professionals of any organization in the nation, which is like the highest designation you can get in the reverse space. And just honestly, we've been attracting just phenomenal talent that are really, really good, really great people, and for as long as we've been in the business, we've had loan officers that have, now have a client base that, might be, or they certainly have family that is in, it's a time that they want to take advantage of the equity in their home, staying home, retiring home, and reverse mortgage is a perfect retirement mortgage solution for that.
Certified mortgage planner, what's it take to become a certified mortgage planner?
A certified reverse mortgage professional. So we actually have
CRMP.
CRMP, correct. So we actually have a C2 reverse certification, and
that's just a C2 designation.
That's just a C2 designation, but it runs pretty parallel with getting your CRMP. So it's kind of like getting a DRE license. You're doing all the training to, kind of get certified at a company, but it's actually to take a test and get your license. So it's kind of aligned with that, but it gets you, really well acclimated with what it takes to be a specialist in the reverse space. It's certainly something that is a different kind of language. It's a different product type, and I think it's super important for our loan officers to be, have the acumen, have the knowledge to deliver that to the people that are of need of it. So it's a protected class, and I want to make sure that they're with people that know how to protect them.
So you don't let all your loan officers do reverse mortgage. They have to have that designation, the C2 designation.
That is correct. If they want to originate it on their own at the company, otherwise they can refer to somebody that does. Yeah.
Nice. So so how many designated LOs?
I think it's about 300.
300.
Yeah,
Wow.
of our 1,100 loan officers.
So it's like a 20-hour course or something you guys offer?
Yeah, Scott Harms and Shane Irwin are the leaders of that division. They've built out the curriculum, the syllabus, all that, and it's there's 101, 102. There's a couple different
Wow.
channels and courses to do it. So.
And you do it Zoom or in person?
We do a lot of in-person meetings, but that course and getting acclimated and getting that designation is remote.
That's cool.
Yeah, but there's a Blue Door portal, so he does a phenomenal job, and he keeps everybody super connected on the reverse side of things. So they do kind of a weekly call, monthly call, quarterly calls, and then at our events we'll do a day of reverse, and we'll have speakers that are very notable in the industry, that come out and speak for it.
I was talking to an investor that just do reverse, and they were telling me on the wholesale side, I'm like, how many deals you guys do? They're like, we just do like 20. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you do 20 deals and you have all this back end costs, and that's how you survive off 20 reverse mortgages in your wholesale lender. It's not that many deals for a wholesale lender.
I mean, it's a niche product. It's not everybody that's it's pretty unique. It's definitely not as common as a forward mortgage, purchase or refi. It's a pretty tight market, but there's certainly a need, and we have all the best wholesale lenders in the space,
Yeah.
at
Do
our
you guys
company.
do more than 20 deals a month?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do more than a wholesale lender.
Yes, that is correct.
You do more than the average wholesale
For
lender.
sure.
Crazy to think about that, though,
I know.
right?
How they could run their entire business
On 20.
on 20, when
20.
we're doing more than that a month, and we're doing a lot of other stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
just like a small percentage of your business.
For sure.
So you were just cast in the mortgage industry. You didn't choose the mortgage business. You just basically,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a testament to the fact that my pops was my best friend and my greatest mentor, and he achieved my vision of success. And I think that sure, I could have gone off and did my own thing, and I did my own thing. There really wasn't a place for me at the company until I went out and kind of learned my own craft and then brought that back. But it just worked out. So.
one thing I admire is that you managed to sustain that same grit that your dad did.
Thank you.
A lot of kids who would have been in your position be like, oh, I'm just gonna just squander this away. So how do you think that your dad influenced your grit, your mindset?
Well, the saying goes that apples don't fall far from the tree, but I just appreciated his tenacity. I have a ton of energy. We're both real passionate guys, and just seeing kind of how he built his legacy for the family and what he created was just something that resonated for me. And it doesn't happen by sitting on your couch. He said that success is defined by hard work, opportunity, and a little bit of luck. You got to be in the game, and opportunities will happen, and you'll find success. So that's what that's how I do it. So.
Yeah, the reality is you don't need to do what you do, right? You do it because you choose to do it. You do it because you love doing it, and it's me as a father just making sure so. How do I know my kids are gonna not squander, the success, right? Because it's a real issue amongst people who leave a legacy, and you're grinding every day. You're everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a movie. It's not like my favorite movie or anything. That movie Dune, and there's a quote in it, and it was something like the father was talking to his son. And he's like, "There'll be a time in your life when you're called to lead, and the answer can be yes or no. But regardless of the answer, you'll always be my son." And there's a calling. People have a calling. You had a calling. Your son, your children will have a calling. And mine was, I was called, and my answer was yes, and here I am. So it feels good.
And you're managing 1,500 people, and you're doing it with, and you're well spoken, and you're kind of like a born leader, right? You're just you have that persona. So it's good that he raised you in that capacity. Just like, hey, this is going to be the guy.
He was the man. He was the man. So.
So, what do you think has been your greatest source of inspiration to be an entrepreneur? Is it?
I think that you'll never get to where you really want to go working for someone else, and that was always something that was, told to me, taught to me that, don't get me wrong, I think it's difficult to just walk into entrepreneurship out the gate, but I always knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and do my own thing and kind of run my own ship and, make my own time to work. And so I studied business management with an emphasis on entrepreneurship. But when you graduate from college with that degree, it's like, go out and do anything. It's not like you figured out, we're not trained, we're educated. We're Europeans are there's more apprenticeship. And so you come into something, you're naturally directed to something that's in lineage of your family where, it's like you graduate with that degree. You're like, okay, I can figure out anything I want. I traveled around the world and did some backpacking bus line in New Zealand. I thought that would be great for California. And then I met somebody that did it and it didn't work, So, maybe I could have pulled that off, but it just, I think this country was built on a capitalist mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset, and that's always been something that has resonated with me as being a, red-blooded American, and I think that that's something that I always wanted to do, and this is kind of the channel that I did, the path that I fell down. Or went down, but I think it's important to learn on someone else's dime. There's nothing wrong with having a job or a mentor or any of that stuff where, you can learn a lot of mistakes from someone else that you would otherwise that would happen to you if you're on your own right out the gate, that you can save a lot of time and a lot of money by learning from someone else that might have already made them giving you some direction and or finding things that, why is it done like that? That's how ideas kind of spawn, is like you are working at something and you're like, this doesn't seem right. I think I could do it better this way. And then all of a sudden you start your own business that way, right? And I think that that's how good businesses grow. Like I always communicate to my team, my corporate staff, the family of loan officers that we have, that this company was built on a suggestion box basis. And if you have an idea for something that you wonder why it's not working the way it is, I want to know, because that's how we grow, that's how we get better, that's how the business gets better. And if they're thinking about it and not saying something, or they finally do say something, I'm sure that there's 100 others that are thinking the same thing, they just haven't said something. So it's, that's kind of how we grew. And that's actually something I learned from my dad. I remember we'd be at restaurants and be like, if it was bad service, you should let them know. They should know, how are they going to get better if they don't know that this food's cold or that service wasn't good, So that's kind of how we got better over the course of years.
Voice their opinion. It's
Absolutely.
Like, don't closed mouths don't get fed here.
Exactly.
So you're totally resilient to market adversity, and what I want to ask you is, how important has taking risks been to C2 to grow in this totally crazy mortgage environment right now?
Well, there's no question about it. There has been a lot of adversity with how quickly rates moved from 2 to 3. Yeah, exactly. And that's certainly going to cull the herd, and folks that are super refi heavy, which is everybody in that market,
yeah,
are going to have a rude awakening. And I sympathize. There's no question about it. Like, as a company leader, I can't get on my high horse and say, you need to be doing, all this volume, and why aren't you doing that? I mean, it's the market speaks, and we have to adjust. And this is the profession that we're in. We chose it. And I think, all things being said, if I look at the numbers of an average loan officer, let's just say a loan officer that's doing 1 loan a month, they're making a lot more than the average, job across America. So I think it's a great profession to be in, and you cut your teeth regardless of market conditions. We all have to bob and weave and find opportunity. There's opportunity in every market. It does, through adversity, the strong will survive and will, rise up and find a way, because I believe in the power of home ownership, and I believe that is found through the broker channel. I mean, I've walked into a bank before, and you got a banker with their thumbs in their armpits trying to figure out how to say no over the course of, 45 days when you're in escrow period and that train's moving, and that's just not the way it should work. I believe that brokers do have access to more sources of capital. They understand the nuances of how their clients make money and how they can be lended to. And their fiduciary responsibility is to that client, where a banker's is to their shareholders. And I think that's just how better business is done, and how we all win. And that's why, why we're here and why we're friends, and why we can, at the end of the day, we have the same message. We're all about the power of home ownership and making that American dream a reality before, everything's bought up by Blackstone and Vanguard and, the BlackRocks of the world, and you own nothing and you'll be happy. That's just not the way it works, because if that is the way it works, well, we certainly won't be doing reverse mortgages either.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody will be owning a home.
So you managed to maintain that just like you said right now, your loan officers still making money, still doing better than 98% of Americans out there.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you helping loan officers continue to win in this environment right now?
We have a platform that allows them to identify which lenders are going to be the most competitive in that moment, for their client, whether it's a purchase or a refi. We don't provide leads. That's not something we do. It's never been something we've done. Generally, our splits are high enough to where they can dictate where they want to put their money to grow their business on our platform. We provide, we've got great branding, and we have a lot of collaborative events. C2, you asked me earlier what C2 stands for. It actually kind of has been coined collaborative community. I like constantly crushing, but that's just my style. But I think that it's an opportunity to get together. We have an event called C2 Connect you've come to, where we have top producers talk about specific topics on panels. We have speakers. We have great ways for people to get those nuggets, those ideas when they get back to their desk and look at things a little bit differently, how they can connect with realtors more, how they can add more value to their book of business, the clients that they have that they may have refinanced into 2 or 3%. I just read an article this morning that's there's consumers have more credit card debt than they ever have. They paid down a lot of debt through the pandemic just because they weren't spending as much. But now those habits have kind of come back. And sure, somebody might be in the 2 or 3% on their first, but if they have revolving credit card debt in their 20s, they can consolidate that, into a first that's in a 6 or 7, and it might make sense from a blended rate perspective. So those details are in credit reports, and it's always looking deeper than just the imminent need. Hey, I'm buying a house, I got to jump in, I got to move quick, I got a 15-day escrow. Yeah, I can hammer that nail, but it's also kind of driving more value and understanding more about the customer. Okay, how are they making their money? On line 17, do they have real estate? Do they have interest? Are they paying interest on that real estate? Okay, we have a commercial division. People don't even know, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, So it's just kind of peeling back the onion and finding ways to add more value to the customer, and doing more and putting them in a better financial position.
Yeah, that's great. You really got to dive deep right now. There is no like cookie cutter, just like order taking anymore.
And stay in touch. I mean, that's really the deal. I mean, the best CRM is the one you use. That's kind of, I remember my pops came out with a hat and it said, sit, stay in touch, and gave everybody the hat. And it's like, he was a big acronym guy. So it's all about staying in touch, keeping top of mind, and that's your book of business, your client base, your realtors, any COIs, CPAs, attorneys, whoever is in your sphere of influence that you can help, have a partnership with and drive more value. I mean, that's how everybody's going to win. Business is hard. Might as well work with people you like, because hard times are going to happen on transactions. People are going to get frustrations. Have frustrations. It's going to be stressful. Work with people you like. Do good business. Do right by the customer, and you'll continue to be in a good spot. And things are going to come back down. Rates will come back down to the 4s and 5s. That's a healthy market.
Yeah.
But the way inflation is, I think it might be a little while till we get there.
It's going to be a while. So that was my next question. What do you foresee in the mortgage environment in the next probably year or two?
I think things are pretty static. The Fed chair, Powell, just came out and said that they're not making a move. I don't think they're going to move anything up, but I don't anticipate anything coming down. They said there was going to be 3 moves this year. I think we're a little late for that to start happening.
Yeah.
Things are still expensive.
Yeah.
We know, we live in Southern California. It's pricey there. The only thing that I think isn't expensive is getting a pimento cheese at the Masters event. Once you get in there, it's like $2.50 for a sandwich. You're like, and like $6 for a beer. You're like, how is this possible? Any other event? I was just at a Tigers game.
How is that possible?
I don't know. They keep it OG. I tell you what.
I went to get a coffee today, and we're in Michigan. It was $4.50.
Right.
In Michigan for a cup of coffee. Like, I used to laugh when it was $5 a cup of coffee in Miami 2 years ago, and I was like, this is crazy. $5. Now it's $5 a cup of coffee everywhere, but
right.
Even Michigan.
Well, that was when they called Starbucks $5. Now it's way more, right? It's like, but I mean, California, getting, I think, McDonald's for a family to go eat, it's like $150. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Gone are the days of $20 family meals at a
Adios.
little burger joint.
I know, right?
So right now, like, do you think there's a specific mindset that a loan officer has to have to be successful in this environment?
You got to be tenacious. You got to go out and get it. You got to get back to your basics. If you think that deals are going to fall from the sky like they were through the pandemic, when everybody that owns a home is refinancing, those days are gone. So, and I think they have to get back to how they got into the business, which is just, making the calls. I started in commercial real estate in the boiler room. I remember they said I was hired. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm hired and fired every day here. It's like, if I show up, I'm hired. If I leave, I'm fired. It's like, here's a desk, here's a phone, get to work, son. And you build your database and you cut your teeth and you smile and dial, and you're going to get kicked in the teeth. But you just, I remember like you could re-engineer the math, how many calls it takes to get a loan or get any transaction. And every time somebody says no, you could, before you hang up, thank you, sir. I just made 50 cents, click, or whatever it is, however you want to work it. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, I know that it's going to take this many calls to get to a deal, which means this much of a commission, and then reverse engineer how many calls that is. And if you think about it, it's probably $100 a call. I don't know what that is, how effective people are on the phone, but that's the way it works. And with technology, I'm sure you can have different campaigns, different marketing tactics that can make you more effective through social media. That's generally free unless you're paying somebody to help you with it. But there's just so many channels to market in, and you got to be everything everywhere,
All the time.
all the time.
All at once.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So that's why I highly leverage automation.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I think AI is like the latest craze, and we had a speaker, Rene Rodriguez. He came and spoke at our last C2 Connect, and he said something that resonated for me. That I think that everybody's worried about is AI going to replace the loan officer? Is AI going to replace us as any service provider? And I think the answer is loan officers will be replaced by loan officers that use AI. So I think that's any service. I think the real estate, any kind of fee-based business, whether you're a realtor, you're seeing compression in commissions, certainly on the buy side, with some lawsuits or some class actions happening in the mortgage space. We could see some compression there. So it's constantly adding value and adding it really quick. You got to be quick to market, quick to assess, quick to identify whether you can make a deal happen, how you can make a deal happen, and the faster you can do that, then the better off you'll be, and the happier the client will be too.
The way that Rene Rodriguez phrased that, loan officers will be replaced by loan officers who use AI. That's an absolute fact.
Yeah.
That's an absolute fact, because if you're not an early adopter to technology, then the technology will replace you.
For sure.
And it's those LOs that are like reluctant to use technology that just will be extinguished. Just, process of organic elimination.
Yeah, you got to get hip with the times. And actually, I thought, with NVIDIA kind of driving the market, they were just on an upward trend. I think the thought process was, or the general consensus in the market was, once they hit about $1,000 a share or $1,100 a share, there'd be a sell-off, and that would create some trepidation in the market, and then things would start happening. They kind of, reeled back a bit on their own. I think they're in like the high eights, but I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and there was a gentleman speaking to it, and he said they're just getting started, which I thought was pretty interesting to hear. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much of a runway there. We're just kind of at the frontier of it.
Yeah, I mean, really, the buzzword AI started last year.
I know. It's not going away. I'll tell you how much.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's gonna turn into, I mean, it just gets better by the millisecond.
I know. I think ChatGPT just came out with 4.0. It's an app that you have on your Is it 5? 5.0. So yeah, I mean, I can't even keep up with it, but
yeah, it's 5, and now you can speak to it and it speaks back to you.
Right.
We use AI in so many different things for our business, especially when it comes to marketing and even this podcast, which will have 5,000 derivatives of it.
Amazing. I'm ready for one.
So given like all your success, like what motivates you every single morning to just do it all over again?
It's that power of home ownership. My best friend needed a home. I was living on the west side of Los Angeles in Mar Vista, close to Venice, and his wife had just gotten pregnant. They were expecting, and it was time to get out of an apartment that they had in Mar Vista, and he was a successful entrepreneur. And I put him in touch with one of my top loan officers and found the best lender to get him a loan to buy a home. And I have a photo when I visited them after they got into that home, holding a baby with their dog in front of the front door. And that's what made it for me. That's what makes it for me every day, is that opportunity to deliver that experience. And that is, the foundation of what this country was built upon, And I'm sure that has changed. I'm not saying that white picket fence, husband and wife with a kid and a dog is that for everyone, but it's a version of it. And if we can continue to deliver that, then I think we're still going to be in a great place.
That's awesome. Now, you got so much awesome talent at C2, some of the top originators in the nation, many of the top originators in the nation. How are you continuing to foster talent?
It's really an authentic community that we've, built and grown, and it's happened really organically. And I think it's, the power of attraction. People want to be with a tribe that they align with. And I remember you and I and a few other of the big hitters got together. It was probably a year ago at this event where we all got together.
Yeah.
And
we were in the room.
Yeah.
We did the Big Five.
Right.
Meeting.
Exactly. And I remember when we were kind of wrapping things up. It's like, we can have these conversations because everybody of the big five, we all have mortgage brokerage companies with slightly different models, slightly different cultures that will gravitate towards people, or people will gravitate towards them if they align with that culture, And I think that allows us to all get along, and somebody's going to be perfect for C2 that's not going to be, perfect for one of the other shops, or vice versa. And I'm not offended by that at all, People are going to resonate with how I come off versus someone else, or resonate with how you are and versus me, And so from that perspective, I don't get upset over that. I am who I am, we are who we are, and we attract the people that align with our vision and our values and want to get on our ship, And the goal is to kind of keep souping up that battleship and make sure that it's moving faster and faster, and that's kind of how we grow, which I love about it.
Tom Hollis says this about all the big companies. He's like, we're all F1 race cars. And some people are just going to like this driver versus that driver because we're all supercars.
Yeah.
Right? So like this supercar has a little bit different this driver is a little bit different than that driver. It's like you gravitate towards whichever driver, but they all got the same chance of winning. They're all supercars. So you really can't go wrong with any of them.
I love that. My car's license plate says C2F1.
That's awesome. So, perfect analogy, yeah. So he said that, we're all F1 race cars. So which race car driver are you? It's like, I'd like to say I was Lewis Hamilton, but he lost. So
he's getting signed. Yeah, he's getting signed to Ferrari, so he's doing something right. And McLaren won recently, and you got. There's certainly Mercedes, McLaren, Porsche, there's, Ferrari, all those, we're all driving our own, right?
Yeah.
And they're all fast.
Yeah, they're all very, very fast.
Yeah.
So if there was one thing you would change about your younger self, or you could tell your younger self, what would that be?
Listen. Be a better listener earlier. I think that's something that everyone can be better at, is just, be a better listener. I think it's important more than anything, and learn people's names. Have a way to learn people's names. If you can walk into a room and meet a ton of people and remember their names, that is like, powerful. That goes a long ways. That goes a long ways.
It's so hard to do that.
I
don't know how Matt does it.
You gotta tie it to something. There's a method. There's a formula for it. I'm still trying to figure that one out. So.
Yeah, what is that formula? What did you hear?
I don't know. I'll let you know. If you find out before I do, let me know.
Yeah. Tell me what that formula is. Because I'd love to learn that trait. It's like something that I personally always fail at. Do you have any superpowers for parties? Like anything that
for parties?
Any superpowers? Any special tricks that you have at a party?
Oh shoot. I did get invited to a beer Olympics and I won, so I'm pretty good at drinking games. I've actually taught an entire country how to play beer pong. One of my best friends is from Liechtenstein. We met when I was backpacking around the world, and I came and I was like, hey, let's throw I went to a college in the United States, so I tell them, if you've seen Van Wilder or anything like that, it's how it goes down, So I was like, get a keg and ping pong balls and red cups. I'm like, yes, let's do it. So I showed the entire country of Liechtenstein how to play
There's
beer.
a country called Liechtenstein?
Liechtenstein, yeah. It's a small principality in between Switzerland and Austria. One of my best friends is from there, so it was pretty sweet.
And you taught them all the game?
I taught them all how to play the game.
That's awesome. See, that's pretty notable.
Yeah, I thought so too. So if you're throwing a party, I can show you too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like to close out the podcast with a couple last questions. And the first one is, it's a three-pronged question. What's a goal that you have for yourself? What's a goal that you have for the family? And then what's a goal that you have for the business?
Well, for the business, we want to grow organically to have 5,000 loan officers in 5 years. But it's not a head count really. It's more the talent that it's not a numbers game. If we get there, great, but it's all about having the right people to get there. So that's a goal for the company. For me personally, I've got quite a few goals. I generally always do. One of them was be in the best shape of my life by the time I'm 40. I'm 40 years old. I still think I'm in pretty good shape, so let's try to keep that going. I think that routine in the morning will keep me getting there, and surfing and playing golf. And I would like to get from a 17.5 handicap down to a 12. So that's a challenge with how much I work. And
how much golf do you play?
I play at least once a week if I'm in San Diego, but I've been traveling a lot for work. some travels for golf too, or surfing, but that's one of them. And I'm a single guy, and my vision was always to have a family. So and that was why I thought my dad was so successful, and that's something that I'm working on as well. So
yeah, and God willing, you're gonna get there. And man, I can't believe the ladies haven't left you. You're stuck. It's like I can't believe that hasn't happened yet. It's probably by choice so far, I'm sure.
She's out there. I'll find her. One way or the other.
Yeah, so. You'll get her. She's probably watching the show right now.
Yeah, maybe. I'll be patient.
What my spiritual mentor told me is just like, you just got to ask God for her, and then He just delivers every single time. But just you sincerely ask, and then boom, it comes.
Yeah, I think one of the books that my dad really liked that he passed down to me was Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, and it's just the power of making goals, writing them down, and having the routine and the activity to hit them. And your body's like a heat-seeking missile to hit it. And like when you write it down, the universe kind of manifests it if you put yourself in the position for it to happen. So I've written a lot of things down. Some things happen later, some things happen sooner, but it has a way of working its way through and you achieving your goals. So write your goals down and hold yourself accountable. So that's what's up.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. Now, my last closing question, I ask this to everybody on the show, is when you're in front of the pearly gates, what do you think God's going to tell you?
That's a great question. I have a joke for that, but I don't know if it's fully appropriate. I think He would ask if I lived a fulfilled life. I think I'm on my way.
Yeah, good.
So, thank you,
Dave. It was awesome to have you, bro. Thanks for coming on the show.
For sure.
Thanks for being on the show with me and getting deep with me. I appreciate it, my man.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right. Dave Temko, President CEO, C2 Financial. Let's go.
Let's go.